I was 6 months away from ETS surgery. It was the end of summer. I was there sitting in my living room while my both hands were submerged in trays of water and I was getting shocked. I was doing my hyperhidrosis session. If you have done it, you exactly know the humiliation I am talking about. I was so dependent on that machine that I couldn't even operate it by myself. I had to sit there yelling to my mom to come into the room just to turn up the dials for me while my skin was getting shocked. I was exhausted. I was so frustrated and tired of being a prisoner to this routine that one day, while I was getting the session, I looked my mom in the eye and I said, Mom, next summer I'm getting the ETS surgery. I was 6 months away from letting a surgeon cut my chest and sever my nerves. I was so fed up by this condition that I thought the surgery is the only absolute thing that could save my life. I was living deep inside the future trap. I was entirely convinced that once a doctor fixes my hardware and once my hands were bone dry, I would magically step out of my house and become a king. So, you know what I did? I put my life on pause. I told myself that I had to wait just 6 more months for doctor to fix me. But let me tell you what happens when you put your life on pause and wait for a magical cure. Let me tell you exactly what my life looked like while I was waiting for a doctor and for the time to run out. Every single day, I would wake up and the first thing I would see were my palms. The moisture on my palms would dictate how my entire day is going to be. I would go to work, put my head down, and grind. But the second my work was done, I would straight go to home and lock the door to my bedroom and isolate myself completely. I used my hyperhidrosis, my broken hardware, as an ultimate excuse to avoid the arena completely. You are probably doing the same thing right now. I was acting like a patient sitting in a hospital lobby waiting for its name to be called so I could finally start living. I avoided the pressure, I avoided the rejection, I avoided the heavy lifting of becoming a man because I could point at my wet hands and say, I will do it later, once these are bone dry. But as the winter got closer, I started looking at the reality of what happens when you let someone cut your nervous system. I read about compensatory sweating. I realized if I did this surgery, the sweat wouldn't stop, it would just move. I would trade my wet hands for a wet face or a wet chest or a wet back or worst, all of them combined. I realized if my back started sweating through my shirts whenever I step outside, I would be a complete loser. And the only way to control that kind of body sweating is to rely on heavy oral medications. And I completely refuse to mess up with my internal system just because of my anxiety. So I backed out and I cancelled the surgery. But here is the tragedy of my story. Backing out of the surgery didn't save me. Even though I kept my nerves intact, but my mind was, or my software was still broken. I was still living in the patient mode. I had spent my entire youth obsessing over my wet palms. I had spent my entire life being stuck in a patient mode that I fucking missed out on everything. I missed out on building my character. I missed out on women. I missed out on respect. And I missed out on my own life because I was a fucking ballless ghost stuck in the patient mode. Let me be crystal clear with you. Look at my hands. I am bone dry. I am not here sitting and telling you that getting dry isn't important. Getting dry is the fucking baseline. You need to fix your hardware first because if you don't fix your hardware, you can't even access the arena. Now, you might be saying, why do I need to access the arena? Because the life you deserve, the wealth, the success, the woman, the respect does not get handed to you just because your hands stopped sweating. You only get these after you step into the dirt and prove your worth. You have to fight. I am fighting in this arena every single day. I am not here to settle for an average life. I am here to bend the world, the same exact world that bent me over and broke me while I was suffering. I am here to retire my family, and I am not stopping at any cost. Listen to me. The clock is ticking. Your parents are getting older. Don't let your parents pass away while you are locked in your bedroom, stuck in the patient mode and figuring out your own shit. They raised you to be a man. They deserve to see a king before they pass away. They don't deserve to see their son wasting his prime years acting like a coward. You have a choice to make today. Join me in the fire or stay in your locked bedroom and watch your parents pass away and live with permanent regret that you couldn't provide for them because you were too busy feeling sorry for yourself. ETS surgery was not the choice for me. Stepping into the arena was. You don't need an ETS surgery to cut your chest open. You know what you need? You need me. Now listen, I'm not here stroking on my own ego. I'm not here pretending to be some fake guru who has figured it all. I am in the trenches right now. I am building my own life, fighting in the dirt, and paying the exact hyperhidrosis tax which you have to pay every single day. But I want you to look at me through this screen and ask yourself one simple question. Do you think a man could sit there and talk with that level of absolute, unshakable conviction if he was still a ghost hiding in his room? Do you think I could look you dead in the eye and tell you to step into the fire if I wasn't already in the arena, bleeding and leveling up my own life right now? You don't get this kind of fire from a surgery. You don't get this kind of confidence from a wall outlet. You only get this kind of energy from massive actions and from refusing to be a victim. That is exactly why this July I am going to get you dry. We are going to fix your hardware. But once the hardware is fixed, we are going to spend every walking second fixing and ripping the malware out of your brain. We are going to kill all the excuses, all the patient suffering mode you have. We are going to fix your software. If you want to join, the link is in the description. Join or keep acting like a patient, like you have done your whole life. But if your brain is actually working, you should be making an assumption right now. You must be thinking that since I backed out of the surgery, I must have went back to my iontophoresis machine. I took that same machine, the same iontophoresis machine the doctor tells you that it will save your life, and I threw that in the garbage. There's a very specific, humiliating moment that made me realize that the same machine is the ultimate trap. And after using it for 5 years, I threw it. Click here to learn more about it. I will see you right there.